Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, where we saw the Nasdaq reverse off lows, pairing those losses, and even managing to go green on day one of a rally attempt after hitting some oversold levels.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a constructive session for the stock market, Ali. We dipped below 13,000 for the Nasdaq, not by a large amount, but buyers quickly came in and lifted the index off lows. So I got two tech stocks I want to talk about today. One is electronics contract manufacturer Fabrinet, ticker FN. Also, Arista Networks. They have Meta Platforms as a big customer, and Meta had its Connect conference that started today. And finally, in the oil and gas space, Halliburton, HAL.
Great. We'll take a look at those three stocks, but first let's analyze the major indexes. The Nasdaq today up 0.2% by session's close. The S&P 500 also eked out a fractional gain today. The Dow lost 0.2%. The Russell 2000 outperforming today with a gain of 1% in today's session. And Ken, surprising perhaps in one perspective to see the Nasdaq go green today, given with what we saw with the 10-year yields and the dollar still very strong. But as mentioned, we have been getting to oversold levels, and that 13,000 a potential battleground here for the tech heavy index.
Yeah, I don't know that there was a specific catalyst today. You mentioned the 10-year Treasury yield. That's still trading around 4.61%, up another 5 basis points today. And, we had the U.S. dollar just continues on this strong uptrend. So I think it's probably more of a technical bounce today. We had day one of a rally attempt earlier this week on Monday. That was met by some heavy volume selling the next day. So we have another rally attempt today, and we'll see what the market brings us tomorrow. So we're in a correction. Obviously, the market is still challenged here, getting harder and harder to find good setups out there. But we did get some outperformance from oil and gas stocks. They've been leading the market, and a lot of them did sharp gains today.
Yes, and one of which we'll be taking a look at here shortly, but that was definitely the sector of focus today, Ken. So NASDAQ for now, finding support at that round number, 13,000. And as you were saying, the count starts over. So today, day one of a rally attempt. Now we want to see if we can have a couple more days of gains and then some volume coming into the market. So we're not trying to guess a bottom here, but have a little bit more proof that strength and buyers have come back into the market.
Yeah, it was actually impressive to see the Nasdaq's volume today. We had a higher volume decline yesterday. It was just another distribution day for the Nasdaq on Tuesday, but you had volume that actually came in higher than Tuesday today. So decent close, kind of right in the middle range, maybe slightly in the upper half for the Nasdaq, but to see higher volume, a good sign here. So if we're going to look for another sign of strength in the Nasdaq in coming days, you can see it's still kind of stuck below all of its moving averages, and it is going to have some overhead supply to work through here. A lot of damage done to tech stocks that we've been talking about. So normally that needs a little more time to resolve itself, but again, we're open to a lot of different scenarios here. We got our first day of a rally attempt, and we'll see where this takes us. Again, Monday was the first day of a rally attempt and really didn't amount to much, but good to see the Nasdaq climb off lows today.
Right. Well said there. Yeah, if we undercut today's low, count starts over once again with a close below that level. Let's also take a look at the S&P 500 here. Like I said, eking out a fractional gain. This is slightly delayed, but Ken, awfully close to the 200-day line and 4,200 all of a sudden, it seems.
Yeah, it's at another kind of round number like the Nasdaq here. So really the market, like I said this morning on IBD Live, it really is at an inflection point here. Either the Nasdaq is going to hold 13,000 or it's not. S&P 500 again, that 4,200 level, right where the 200-day moving average is a key support level to watch here. So again, we're still in a market that's in a correction, and it's too early to start ringing bells here, but we'll take a constructive session when we get it.
Mhm. And we want to take a look at the Dow as well, which closed below the 200-day line yesterday and a further decline today. So eating away at more of those gains. But this one has been lagging, as has the Russell 2000 small caps, outperforming today, but a lot of damage done here, Ken. So a lot of ground to be made up and a lot of proof we need to see to indicate that market breadth is moving back in our favor.
Yeah, I mean, a really strong day for small caps. I was just checking IWM. It was up more than 1% at one point. Ended with a gain of about 0.9%. So again, there's been a lot of damage done to small caps. Breadth was positive in the market today. Even when we were lower, I was still seeing winners beating losers on each exchange by a small margin. It might have been,
Mm.
5 to 4, 4 to 3, something like that. But we did end up getting positive breadth today. So a lot of oil and gas stocks outperforming, and that probably did something to help lift the Russell 2000 here today.
Hmm. And before we move on, Ken, any comments on how the market may be reacting or bracing for a potential government shutdown?
Well, it gets a lot of media attention, no doubt about it. As our news editor Ed Carson pointed out earlier, that we may not get economic data next week if the government does shut down. We do have a jobs report that's due next week, but I think the market in the past, it seems like every once in a while, the government is dealing with shutdown issues. They tend to find an agreement. So I don't know that it's going to be a big market mover, but that possibility exists, and it means we won't get some key economic
Mhm.
reports next week. But optimistic that there's going to be a deal reached.
Mhm. Yeah, something to keep in mind. And with any economic indicator or macro headline, I think it's important to remember that it's the price action ultimately that we're going to be paying attention to because it seems like it's always darkest before dawn, huh, Ken?
Yeah, absolutely. So, bottom line is we're still dealing with a market that's under some pretty heavy distribution here, and lots of damage done to individual stocks. We've got oil and gas stocks that are making a good stand here, and actually a lot of actionable stocks today. So, I don't know that a market rally is gonna survive with only oil and gas stocks leading, but they have been a pocket of strength and. Again, I think the market's at an inflection point here. We should get a pretty good idea over the next few days which direction it wants to go. I know the bulls are holding out hope for a Santa Claus rally. Maybe that comes in October. Maybe it comes in November. But we did get an interesting reading from Investors Intelligence. I mentioned on IBD Live earlier today that survey of weekly newsletter writers, and the bulls are really becoming a much smaller group now. So it's a contrarian indicator. So as you see bullishness start to, subside in the market, that is a good news for contrarians, and could set the stage for a Santa Claus rally, but still early in the game here.
Hmm. We'll have to see. And before we get too far away from it, we'll circle back, of course, because we're going to be taking a look at Halliburton. But energy, clearly the sector to watch today. XLE, which tracks the group, up 2.5% in some volume after pulling back near the 50-day line. And the big catalyst here today, price of oil. Here's a look at USO, which is a rough proxy. Crude futures had a great day today, continuing this strong uptrend.
Yeah, oil's up close to $94 a barrel at last check. It was up well over 3% today. So, this is a potential problem. We have gas prices in California that are through the roof again, and that almost always causes at least some slowdown in consumer spending, and that's still a trouble spot for the market. This recession that was supposed to happen sometime towards the end of this year, maybe it's going to be pushed out into 2024. But I know a lot of bulls out there want to see oil prices start to at least soften a little bit. They want to see the dollar weaken. They want to see that 10-year yield start to back off highs. So oil at $94 a barrel, that it's hard to see that not causing a little slowdown in consumer spending, but we'll have to see.
Hmm. Okay, let's take a look now at some stocks of interest, starting with Fabrinet. This is ticker FN, a gain of 3.6% today in strong volume. And Ken, I know you've had your eye on this stock, especially since that strong move on earnings, and it's been holding up really well.
Yeah, it has. It was really an explosive gap higher when it broke out over the 135 level, and during a time when a lot of technology stocks are below their 50-day moving averages, you see charts that are marred by heavy bouts of institutional selling. You're really just not seeing it at all in Fabrinet. It held those gains, held above the short-term support levels. Didn't really see any violent declines in heavy volume. In fact, you're seeing some higher volume gains as the stock finds support at the 21-day line here. So the weekly chart shows just good tight weekly trading, and I think this is one to watch as it sets up in a new base here.
So Ken, then are you looking at this 160, 164 area as a potential buy trigger?
Well, arguably, you probably had a little early entry today with that move above Monday's high, and it did come in pretty decent volume today. So, I mean, if you're really risk averse, you'd want to wait for this base to complete. It's still kind of in the early stages of forming a base, but it really is showing bullish action in this market. So, the fact that it moved above Monday's high, maybe aggressive traders took a little nibble today, but ideally, you'd want to see a nice decisive move above 163, 164.
hmm Next on our list, let's take a look at Arista Networks with an orderly pullback to a key technical level, Ken. So price and volume action here looks like a worthwhile setup to keep tabs on.
Yeah, so Meta had a developer conference that started today, Meta Connect 2023, and they announced a new virtual reality headset and some other AI initiatives. And Facebook or Meta is a huge customer of Arista Networks, just in terms of data center build out and infrastructure. So this is another tech stock. Again, there's a lot of damage in the technology sector, and while it's really hasn't bounced off support here, it is kind of trading right around that 10-week moving average on the weekly chart. Still looks like it could be an early stage move for ANET, another name in the technology sector that you have a pretty good idea where the fundamentals are here. I mean, it's still a pretty intriguing growth story, and technically finding support where it should. Again, if we get a little tradable rally here, this is a stock that could outperform.
Okay, and last but not least, let's check in on a standout stock in the oil and gas sector, since that was clearly the focus in today's trading tape. Halliburton HAL up 3% today. This one did not have above average volume behind the move, but a compelling price action day for the stock, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw so many actionable stocks in the oil and gas sector. I think the last pivot here of 41.08, with Halliburton closing at 42.03, it's certainly not extended from that last buy area. The fact that it moved above all of its short-term moving averages today didn't do it in heavy volume, but at least it did it in volume that was higher than the prior session. So one of many stocks in the oil and gas sector that still looks actionable here. Obviously, a big bellwether in the oil and gas sector that is still a compelling growth story. So Halliburton, large cap oil stock, still looking good here.
Thanks, Ken, for your analysis today, and thanks everyone for tuning in. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, and we hope everyone joins us. Investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. We will see you there, and we'll also see you right back here tomorrow at the close.